Hello everybody, I'm Maria and welcome or welcome back to my Nook. Today I thought I would show you my entire physical TBR, and that's why I'm standing in front of my bookshelf. I'm just going to pick off all the books that I haven't read yet off of my bookshelf, and we're going to see them stacked on top of each other. I actually know how many books I haven't read yet. Of the books I own, it's 34, precisely 34, because I track how many books I own and which books I own and how many books are on my physical TBR and which books are on my physical TBR. But I still thought that it could be fun to like see them stacked up in an actual stack. And I also thought I kind of wanted to share that with you because maybe it'll help me cut down my physical TBR. Maybe this will help keep me accountable or something like that. I don't know. I'll also try to remember to talk about for how long I've owned each book so far. So honestly, let's jump right in. Alright, I brought us a little closer to my fantasy part of my shelf, like the first row of fantasy books, and I can immediately tell you that I have read Shadow and Bone. I've also read the second and third book in the trilogy, but I don't own those books. I have read Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. I have not read King of Scars yet. I have read The Atlas Six by Olivia Blake. I am actually reading the sequel to this book, The Atlas Paradox, right now, so that one will be added to the physical TBR as well. I have not read Clockwork Angel yet. I haven't read We Hunt the Flame yet. I have read the first... Actually, I have read all of these Ranger's Apprentice books by John Flanagan that are up here, but I do own more Ranger's Apprentice books. They're just not standing here. Over here, we've got first up my favorite fantasy series from when I was a kid, and I have actually read the first 6 books out of this series, but let me just reach behind these. I have not read the 7th book in the series, and the 7th book is always behind the others because these books are all from the same publisher, and as you can see, they're all kind of the same type of design. And the 7th book is not. And I deeply dislike that. So, since I haven't even read it yet, it's in the corner right there. I have also read Once Upon a Broken Heart, Caraval, Legendary, and Finale by Stephanie Garber. Okay, now we're on to my second row of fantasy books. I have read Six Crimson Cranes and The Dragon's Promise by Elizabeth Lim. I have not read Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Maniscalco yet, but I have read The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I have read all of these 4 books: Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, The Name of the Wind, The Savage Song, and Our Dark Duet. Now, these are basically my last fantasy books. I have read the Steel Prince graphic novels. I've read the Complete Shades of Magic series. I have read Strange the Dreamer, the duology. This is a special edition, and like, I've only ever actually read the normal edition, so I technically didn't read the special edition, but I still read the book, so I'm not counting that, right? I have not read Book of Lies by Terry Terry yet, and I also haven't read Between Ink and Shadow by Melissa Wright yet. Now we're on to my romance books, and from these I actually have read a lot of. So I haven't read The American Roommate Experiment by Elena Armas. I've read all of the others, But there is one book by Ali Hazelwood that I haven't read yet that is actually at my parents' house. It's her newest release, Love Theoretically. So that is technically on my physical TBR as well. It's just not on my bookshelf right now. And then I haven't read The True Love Experiment by Christina Lauren. I haven't read Better Than the Movies. Haven't read Circling Back to You. Thank You for Listening. And Loveless. But the others I have read. Now over here we've basically got my mystery thriller, but I've also got one general fiction on here. That's Anxious People by Frederick Buckman, which I haven't read yet. I have read all of these except for this one, but it's not really a novel or anything. It's more like you get presented with a mystery and then you've got these pictures and like a picture like this, for example, and you're supposed to solve a certain riddle with which you can then solve the murder. So I'm kind of not counting that. But then we've got this book. It's basically like a Sherlock type of book where you can also like puzzle along, which I haven't read yet. And then this is The Complete Sherlock Holmes, the original stories by Arthur Conan Doyle. It's like over 1,000 pages long, and these pages are like, this is my hand, right? So this book is tall and the print on these pages is small as heck. So if it were printed like a romance book, it would probably be even more pages. Then I've also got this sort of special edition of Sherlock Holmes, the memoirs, which has lots of trinkets like maps and postcards and like sketches of suspects and stuff like that. But I haven't read it yet. And then I haven't read this one either. Have I read this one? The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. But I technically only bought this book for crafting purposes, so I'm kind of not gonna count that. And then I have read all of these. Okay, so in the last row that is stacked with books, I basically have all of these sort of like miscellaneous books. They're like flip-through books about photography, drawing, painting, and I don't know, London, and I've got dictionaries here, and cooking and baking and, you know, stuff like that. So I'm honestly not really gonna count these, even though I haven't really read many of those. But like most of these are rather flip through books and like cooking books. Why would I count cooking books toward my physical TBR, right? So then we've got this book, which is also more of a flip through book. I think it's about like the body and just, it's a science book. And I've got two more science books here that I'm also not going to count because they're rather flip through books. And then I've got a book about how to write a script. I am counting this because I used to want to read this for class, but I never did. Anyway, then I've got a book by Oscar Wilde, which I'm also gonna count. I'm counting this book by Sigmund Freud about like dreams and stuff because I do kind of want to read that one day. I have read Milk and Honey. I haven't read Set Boundaries, Find Peace, which is a non-fiction book, a self-help book, I think. Why are you guys? Then I've got Enchantment by Catherine May, which is a memoir, I believe. I've read this one. Haven't read How To or Thing Explainer by Randall Munro, but I want to, so I'm counting those. And then we're gonna move over quickly. Over here we've got almost the last books. I haven't read What If 2 by Randall Munro yet. I haven't read this book by Alan Wiseman yet. It's called The World Without Us, and this is like an actual nonfiction novel about what the Earth would look like if us humans would just disappear all of a sudden. So that's interesting. And I have read the Chaos Walking trilogy. So next up, I have a stack down here that we're gonna go through, and those are going to be the last books. So this right here is a stack of books I have accumulated while being at my parents' place for a little while. And most of these are on my physical TBR actually. I have read Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, haven't read Half a Soul yet, haven't read these two Ranger's Apprentice books by John Flanagan yet, which these two were the ones I was talking about earlier. I have read these four. These are the first four books in the Veronica Speedwell series by Deanna Raybourn, and I have read those, but I have not read the 6th and 7th book. I've also not read the 5th book, but that one is also at my parents' place right now. So it's gonna count toward my physical TBR, but I don't have it on my shelves right now. Okay, so this is the entire stack of my physical... Wait, no, actually. Gotta add The Atlas Paradox, which is the book I'm reading right now. Oh my god. This is... I have to hold this stack steady because it will fall over otherwise. But now this is the entire stack of all the books that are currently on my physical TBR. Actually, no, still not. There are 2 books missing, Left Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood and A Murderous Relationship. A Murderous Relation. The 5th book in the Veronica Speedwell series by Deanna Raybourn. By the way, for reference, I'm kneeling on the ground right now. And it's like almost as high as I am sitting tall. So that is something, but to be fair, there's a lot of fantasy books in here and they're rather thick, right? So anyway, let's try to see how long I've had some of these books already. I've also got my phone right here because I have been tracking my physical TBR since this year, and I wrote down when I ordered or bought certain books. First up, The Atlas Paradox by Olivia Blake. I know this book came out in October 2022. I think it was October 2022, and I definitely know that I bought it really close to the release date. So that's how long I've been having this book, and it's now September 2023. I've had it for almost a year, and I'm only now reading it. Thing Explainer by Randall Munro. I honestly don't quite remember when I bought this, but I think it was this year. Actually, I just checked, it was not this year, so it must have been last year, 2022. Now we've got a book by Sigmund Freud, and I think I bought this one in 2021, but I've had it for quite a while. Same with Oscar Wilde. I think I've definitely had this one for longer than a year. Same with this one. Definitely had it for longer than a year, or I have it for longer than a year. I think I might have bought this one last year, but I don't know when. So maybe it hasn't been a full year yet, but possibly. Kingdom of the Wicked, I definitely bought last year, and it was probably September, October, November or something like that of last year. Then we've got the 7th book in the Laura series by Peter Freund. I definitely bought this one I don't know, 2015 or something, because as I already said, I read the first 6 books in the series, and then I bought the 7th book, and I even started reading the 7th book. I got I don't know, maybe 50 pages into this book, but then just kind of stopped reading it because of school. And I still think that the fact that this book was never released in the same edition that all my other 6 books in the series are in was one of the factors why I just didn't continue it, because it still bums me out so much. I bought We Hunt the Flame in February, so it's been a couple of months too, but not too long. Clockwork Angel, I'm pretty sure I bought last year, probably at the end of last year, like September, October, November, December-ish, something like that. I bought King of Scars in May, so it hasn't been that long yet, and I am kind of planning on reading it soon. Hopefully I will actually get to it soon. What If 2 I definitely bought immediately when it came out. I don't know when it came out, but it does say 2022, so it was definitely not the beginning of last year, but I definitely bought this immediately when it came out. How To, I think I also bought last year, but it was probably more in the first half of the year. I think I actually bought this one together with this one. Oops, ouch. Enchantment I definitely bought in May. That I actually know because I bought it on the same day that I picked up King of Scars from the bookstore. Now, Set Boundaries, Find Peace, I'm pretty sure I bought last year because I bought this because of a recommendation from a friend, and I had gotten back into reading already, so I definitely bought this last year. I thought now that the stack is quite a bit smaller and I did have to change my seating position a little, I would take you guys down a notch. And anyway, these two Veronica Speedwell books, the 6th and the 7th book, I bought pretty recently, as well as the 5th, which is just not on my bookshelf currently, but it's on my physical TBR. So, An Unexpected Peril, An Impossible Imposter, and A Murderous Relation by Deanna Raybourn. Bought all of them in July. And also, I only started reading this series in June, if I remember correctly. So I had to like read a couple of other books first before I can get to these, you know? Then I've got The Tournament at Gorlan and The Battle of Hackham Heath by John Flanagan, and I bought both of these in August, so like not even 4 weeks ago yet. Then we've got Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater, and I bought this one in June. It hasn't been that long yet either. I'm hoping I can get to this one soon. It's also pretty short. Now, oh my gosh, Loveless by Alice Oseman has been on my shelf for way too long. I bought this at the beginning of last year and I've been meaning to read it forever. I think it could really be something for me, but I don't know why I haven't gotten to it, but I'm hoping I will get to it someday. Thank you for listening. I had pre-ordered, so it came in the mail right when it was released, and I think it was released in August 2022. So it's been on my shelf for like a year already, even though I was really excited about this book before it came out. I am still really excited about it, but I just haven't gotten to it yet. Also because I really want to listen to the audiobook for this one, and I kind of have to see when I can grab the audiobook from my library. Circling back to You, oh my gosh, this one has been on my shelf since, I don't know, November last year or something. With this one I have a bit of history because I had pre-ordered this book. It came out in, I don't know, May or June or something last year. I had it pre-ordered, but then it was unavailable for like months. And it only arrived in the mail like, I don't know, months and months after it had come out. And by then I had sort of lost interest in it. I think when I do pick it up and read it, I could still enjoy it. But when it came in the mail, I just wasn't as excited about it anymore as I was when I had pre-ordered it. You know, The American Roommate Experiment has also been on my shelf ever since it came out. I don't actually know when it came out. I think I even got it in the mail like a week early before it came out. I know that I was really surprised when it was suddenly just in the mail. I was like, you're not supposed to be here yet. Between Ink and Shadows, I bought last year. It must have been before the end of August. And I am still really interested in it. I just kind of haven't picked it up yet, even though it's like really short. But I think one factor why I haven't picked it up yet is because this book cost quite a lot of money, and this is part of a trilogy, and it was like kind of hard to get. So I'm like, if I read this and like it, it's gonna cost me a lot of money to get the other 2 books in the series, and it's going to take forever for them to come in the mail. And I have this issue where if I start a book series and then not immediately continue it, I will somehow lose interest in it. Like, the more time passes between me reading a book in a series and then reading the sequel, my desire to continue the series will decrease, even though I was initially really interested in the series. I don't know why that is, but if I want to continue a series, I should do it as fast as possible and as soon as possible. Now, Book of Lies by Terry, this book I've owned since like, I don't know, 2015 or something. I do remember exactly which bookstore I bought this from as a teenager, and I exactly remember that I was with my mom and with my grandma, and I picked it up and thought it was interesting because this is apparently about 2 twin sisters that grew up separately, and they meet again at the funeral of their mother, but like, one of them didn't even know she had a twin sister. So she's incredibly shocked. And then they apparently have to figure out why they were separated. And they each carry lies, or I don't know, there's talk of some prophecy or something. I don't know. It sounded incredibly interesting, and to be honest, it still sounds incredibly intriguing to me. But I just haven't picked it up. Christina Lauren, The True Love Experiment. I've owned this since June, I think. May, actually. And I had pre-ordered this book, so I had no say in when this would arrive at my doorstep. But I just haven't gotten to it yet. And I mean, it's only been like 3 months? June, July, August. Yeah, 3 months. But like, it's fine. It's still fine. Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter, I've also got a bit of history with. It was sold out everywhere, like everywhere. So I had to wait weeks before I could even order it, and then I had to wait more weeks before it came in the mail, and by then I had kind of lost interest in it a little. Like, it's not that I lost interest, I still want to read it. It's more that by the time it did arrive, I had already added other books to my TBR and other books I wanted to read, and I had already started other books and other series, you know, that kind of situation. Now, this Sherlock Holmes book, I think I also bought in April or May. Yes, I definitely bought it in May, and this is like a special edition. I think I already mentioned that. It's a special edition with some trinkets, so I'll probably just flip through it once I have read the story in my complete Sherlock Holmes book, you know? That's also why there's still this foil on it, just to protect it, because I know that I'm not going to read it anytime soon. Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. I bought this one in February? No, I think it was January 2022. When I started finding out more about this book, it kind of started intimidating me or like scaring me, because I'm kind of scared that this book might be really sad and tense, possibly. But I will probably pick it up at some point. I just feel like this is a book that I really have to be in the mood for, you know? And then we've got this Sherlock book. You kind of get a theme of Sherlock probably, right? This book, I actually don't know when I bought it. I must have bought it last year. And then last but not least, we've got the complete Sherlock Holmes. And I've already said that this is like over 1,000 pages long. And the pages are so tall and the font is so incredibly small. And it's like historical, old-fashioned writing. So it also takes me a little more brain power to understand. So I'm just being very, very slow at reading through this. I'm on page 168 at the moment, and I just have to really be in the mood for this, you know? And I just can't read, I don't know, 300 pages of this in a day. I can't even physically read 300 pages of any book in a day, but absolutely not this one. But I am hoping to get through this at some point, because I definitely want to read all the Sherlock Holmes stories at some point. So that was my entire physical TBR. I really hope you guys have enjoyed what I had to say about these books and have enjoyed seeing my physical TBR. I really do hope that I will get to all these books at some point, and I really hope that I can decrease my physical TBR a little bit in the future at least. Please do let me know down in the comments, how many books do you have on your physical TBR, if you feel like sharing. If you don't, you can just tell me anything you want to tell me. Otherwise, I really hope you have enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, maybe give it a thumbs up and perhaps subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any future videos. And other than that, I will see you guys somewhere else on the internet or in my next video. Bye!